Hello everybody, I'm looking to Lee Statham. I just thought I'd do a quick video on his opponents, Leeds United face tonight at West Ham United. And if you look at the thumbnail, I've put there's no other way to say this. And the people I've got on it is Sullivan, Brady, Potter, Nuno, Madrasa, Scars, and Potts. Now, the reason why I wanted to do this video is because it, it, West Ham are in such a big mess at this moment in time. You know they've got the protests happening. They've got which to get Brady and Sullivan out of the club, and to bring in new ownership, to bring in a new ownership, a new direction. And the truth of the matter is, West Ham needs to be torn torn to pieces and rebuilt. It's the only way West Ham are going to be successful in the way the fans expect West Ham to be. Because if they got moved from their own ground into Olympic Stadium, basically, I think that was just to make uh, Sullivan a few quid. And by renting it, he saved an absolute fortune. But West Ham, the West Ham fan base, who I know, what I know of, and the people who I know, you know, they don't expect a lot. They don't support West Ham United to win silverware. West Ham's a bit more. It means more. The club and the fans mean more to each other than success and silverware. And it's it's really sad to see that. And 2 years ago, they won the Conference League. The year before that, they reached the semi-final of the Europa League. West Ham were going on. They were steadily climbing up the mountain. But these last 2 years, you know, the avalanche has happened, and it's just wiped West Ham back down to the bottom again. But the problem is, they're trying to reclimb the mountain when we've Sullivan, who's arguably one of the worst owners in Premier League. Brady's been brought in because of a business acumen, but let's be honest, it's been very, very poor with decisions she made. She was one who brought Potter in. Look how that worked out. Look how much money they spent. They've brought in really good quality players. Sebastian Haller didn't work out. John Lucas Skamaka didn't work out. Um, you know, they've brought in all these quality players, and they've sold them for next to nothing. Spent a fortune on them, sold them for nothing. Spent £40 million on, I think it was on the Kilman. Spent £40 million, give or take, on Nathan Guard. Spent £40 million, Kilman, Nathan Guard, and Tadibo. Spent about £40 million on Tadibo. So that's £120 million they spent on their centre backs, and none of them are up to scratch. None of them. So and they won't get £40 million if they sold them all combined. They just wouldn't. They're in such a mess of West Ham. The fans are crying out for the youth to play now. I think that I think that's desperation personally, because normally you bring your youth players on as a luxury when you near end of season. There's no riding on the running to end of season. You're not going to get relegated. You're not going to finish in automatic Europa League place, European competition places. That's when you bring your Scouts, your Pots, your Marshalls, and players like that on. Not in a relegation bound season when you're needing grit, experience. and know-how and how to survive and stay in this division. Because if West Ham get relegated, they're going to find it really, really difficult to bounce straight back up, especially under this ownership. Now, West Ham look, there's no denying that they haven't spent money. They just spent it unwisely. So, the board members and stuff don't get a free pass in this neither. I know Brady and Sullivan are the two, main owners and instigators of what's going on at West Ham, and that's why they're having the protests. But it just needs ripping up and restarting again. It needs to be rebuilt from the foundations up. Um, it's then you listen to Talk Sport and you get people like Dan Lawless from West Ham Fan TV and got on Talk Sport, and you've got Samuel Jordan ripping in it with and by saying grow up and stuff, and your owners aren't going to build build a stadium for him, and then then he's saying stuff like you know the 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 players need the fans and stuff. But the problem is, if you go to Welland Road, and if you look at Burnley, Crystal Palace, um, Newcastle, um, Nottingham Forest, most of their fans are close to the pitch, where they can be used as the 12th man. If you look at West Ham Stadium, um, some of the fans are 20 metres away from the edge of from the pitch. So how are they supposed to be that 12th man if they're so far away? Do you know what I mean? And that's down to Sullivan putting them in that stadium and moving them away from Upton Park, which were really, really intimidating for away fans. Fantastic fantastic noise coming from the home fans, but you've moved them away, and then you say you're blaming fans for doing these protests and stuff. Why West Ham aren't doing well on pitch? It wasn't even if the West Ham fans are in that stadium, they're too far away where they can't have any impact on what goes on that pitch anyway. So and I expect a bit more from Simon Jordan after knowing what it's like to run own a football club and then sell it and stuff. And he should be a bit more compassionate to the West Ham fans. I think personally, um, the petition I think is at 15,000. Um, 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 SB out. I'll put a link in description for that if you want already signed it, because West Ham, it's got a rich heritage, and the fan base, arguably one of the best fan bases in Premier League. Um, they know this stuff. They're not daft. Um, and they love the club. They love West Ham as a club. They just don't like what West Ham's become as a club. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's the big difference. And it something's got to change at West Ham, because there's only one way they're going, and that's into Championship. And I keep hearing about, and I'm not. I feel for people who say this. Oh, in January we need to bring players in. The problem is, if you're already firmly set in that bottom three, no decent player is going to come to West Ham United, knowing that there's a strong possibility that they're going to get relegated. No player's going to come in with any no, well, the only place you're going to get in who might do something for you is on loan, these players who've got something to prove. That's the only way you're going to get players in at West Ham, I think. And it's you're already seeing the likes of Piquet, Somerville, Bowen losing a temper. I mean, if that's only going to get worse, and if they start losing it, if they start losing a temper, they're going to stop being concerned about what happens to West Ham come end of season, and they'll be more concerned about what's happening to them and their career come end of season. So it's a big mess at West Ham, and I don't know what's going to turn it around. I just don't see anything what's going to turn West Ham's situation around, and it's for the West Ham fan. It must be the most petrifying time to be a West Ham fan. Especially having recent success in Europe. But anyway, get your comments in, guys. Let me know what you think's going to happen with West Ham. Can you see Sullivan and Brady going? Can you see somebody coming in with genuine love for West Ham, or do you think it could be another um, person who comes in who sees West Ham as making a quick buck? Let me know what you think. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for watching this edition of Lee Statham. Hope you've enjoyed the video, guys. Take care, look after yourselves. See you all soon. Bye bye.